What do you make of what you've seen in the last few weeks, and particularly these divisions that seem to have been exposed in Catalan society?
Well, I'm very disheartened to see people who are neighbors and families fighting with each other over such a question of independence. It's healthy, I believe, to challenge the status quo because there are many unresolved problems that have basically been unspoken of in many cases. And what I do believe is that we need to have leaders both in Catalonia and in Spain that will rise to the occasion and do a better job of representing potential solutions rather than painting themselves into a corner. As an expat who's been here for 20 years and very much loves Spain and very much loves Catalonia, I want to have the opportunity to have my fellow neighbors and friends and families resolve these issues peacefully and have the chance to properly feel represented in Madrid for the Catalans. We are on a regular basis not in a situation where we feel that our interests are properly addressed, even if you're not an independentist. And the scenes of people getting hit is just absolutely irresponsible leadership and indefensible. If we want to claim that we are in a democratic country, you need to have a lot more tolerance for people to express their opinions than what we've seen on the television. However, that being said, I've had the chance to be outside of Spain during these last 2 or 3 weeks, and the sensationalization that has taken place really gives a misrepresentative sample of the daily life here in Barcelona.
What do you make of the separatist stance?
I've been here for 20 years, and I am definitely not been convinced by the independent movement that we have all the facts and all the information needed to determine that being an independent Catalonia from Spain is the intelligent way to go. Now, that being said, the overhanded or the heavy-handed response from the central government is increasingly gaining sympathies from people like myself who never really felt like an independentist, but I certainly understand the desire to be so. And when your family supposedly is lashing out at you, it makes it difficult to believe that they actually want you to maintain and then to be part of their family. I don't know if that's what you were looking for.
Yeah. You say you understand the separatist desire to be separate from Spain, but others would say, this is a long way from the Franco era. There's a constitutional arrangement. Catalonia has a huge degree of autonomy already. They can express their culture and identity. What more?
Well, and I would agree with that statement. However, when you've been here for as long as I have, you do run into very surprising negative comments about Catalans, and this is not just anecdotal. It's pretty systemic, and there's a treatment of being felt like a stepchild within the family of Spain. And one of the challenges that I've found is that when I go to other parts of Spain, and they know that I'm coming from Catalonia, because I speak fluent Catalan, they assume I'm Catalan, I'm treated one way. When they discover that I'm actually Mexican and American, I get treated much better, with much more respect than when they assumed that I was Catalan. And there's tons and tons of anecdotes that I could probably share with you, but this is one of the reasons that I believe that many people can be sympathetic to the cause. And when you see people getting beat for wanting to express themselves in a vote, there's just absolutely no way to defend that optically to the world. And I think it is also a symptomatic of what is going on here.
What do you think then of the way the government in Madrid has handled this crisis and now the threat of revoking Catalonia's autonomy?
Well, it's actually pretty scary in one sense because I don't get the feeling that we have intelligent leadership from either the central government or from the Catalan government. When the Catalans are speaking that they have a majority or a mandate of the people who want to be an independent country, and yet they can't really justify this in any numbers. Even the previous president of Catalonia has been very clear that we do not have a mandate or a majority. That's a pretty hard request to say you have a mandate for the Catalans. On the other hand, if you're going to be if you want Catalonia not to separate itself and you're responding back with threats and violence and jailing people for their political positions, that is just a terrible governance and horrible leadership. So, as a person, as an expat who is here and has been very happily here and very much loves Spain and loves Catalonia, it is frightful to see that the imposition of this Article 155, and it is also equally disturbing in that nobody really knows here very well what that means on a transitional government standpoint. What liberties are going to be had? Does this affect commerce? Does it affect international travel? We really don't know. And who are we going to be paying on a regular basis our taxes and so forth? So the administrative functions of the government, whether it's with Catalonia as an independent or the transition to with this 155, is really, I think the messaging has been very poor.
As far as the separatist cause is concerned, then how ready are they for independence? And has this been considered, beyond the relationship with Madrid? What about the European perspective and the prospect of being outside the EU, for instance?
Well, most of the people that I know who are independentists are clearly in favor of staying with Europe, despite the facts that some of the European countries have made very clear their position that if Catalonia were to leave Spain, they would not automatically come to the EU. However, if I were to be on the Catalan side and want independence, this is about as close as we've gotten for a long, long time to achieve it. And I think you just have to go at not going to say at any cost, but certainly they have to push forward as fast as they can and as hard as they can. And even if they don't achieve independence, perhaps from just a negotiation standpoint, this will probably put them in the best footing possible to create increased autonomy. I don't know that an independent Catalonia, again, is the most intelligent thing and that all Catalans want. However, with the increasing tensions and the attitudes that I've been seeing from my fellow Spaniards for the last 20 years, I am certainly sympathizing towards the Catalans wanting to do so.
What about the business situation? There have been, reports of companies setting up their legal base outside Catalonia. We hear that tourism is possibly taking a slight hit. What about the businesses you help? How are your clients reacting?
Well, I work with the American Society of Barcelona, and what we do is we try to celebrate the cultures of Catalonia, Spain, and the United States, and we foment business. And one of the things that's become very clear is that this is definitely having an impact, but it's very small. You do hear about some big companies who are relocating their headquarters outside of Catalonia. But if you want to speak in numbers, it's an embarrassingly small percentage that are doing this. It's more anecdotal, and the optics are not so great for Catalans. However, if you're a Catalan and you have your funds inside a major Catalan bank who has decided to move to Aragon or Valencia or anywhere else, and you were worried about your funds being, frozen as a sort of response from Madrid, I think you do get it is intelligent and responsible management from the banks to have relocated, and in the sense that kind of protects the Catalans' savings. From my standpoint, I'm actually one of the things that I do is I help companies internationalize to try to sell to the United States and to Latin America. And my clients are telling me, and what I'm able to see, is that it has zero impact whatsoever in normal business operations. In fact, there's been additional sales, and the only, I think, impact for the last 2 or 3 weeks has been calls from clients to ask the Catalan suppliers and so forth if they are physically okay. And there's been no interruptions in business, and in fact, in where I'm working, there's actually been an increase of capital investment and an increase in business. So, from my standpoint, I see a lot of threats to the deterioration of business. I don't really see it on a day-to-day basis. And I hear about tourism, but I go outside of Barcelona, during the week, forget about the weekends, and we're still packed with tourists. So it's kind of hard to reconcile what I read in the news and perhaps seems to be overblown. I don't really see it affecting Catalan business at all.
So Catalonia and Barcelona in particular looks set to remain the very open international city. that it has been, and you've been there for 20 years, you think you'll be staying on and things will carry on as normal?
I think that sums it up about right. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to work. And I really do hope that we have statesmen who can rise to the level and deal with these complex challenges, because there's a lot of lives that are going to be impacted. There's a lot of Spaniards who are very proud Spaniards and Spaniards who are proud Catalans. And it'd be sad to see us have to suffer through an unnecessary, I guess, setbacks and frustrations after fighting a long time in terms of the financial crisis to move forward.
Victor Horcasitas, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us.